Hi, I wanted to talk about a little bit about the valentini pufferfish. This is actually my first fish and my first saltwater tank, and I have a Fluval Nano 6 gallon. So basically, I didn't want to just get any fish. I didn't want to go for the clown. I've looked and researched a lot of fish. I've done a lot of research actually, a lot of videos out there, a lot of forums and stuff. And so I just wanted to know what I was going for before I bought everything and not knowing what I was gonna get myself into. So like I said, I've done a lot of research. I already own a tank that is freshwater. I've had actually freshwater um, tanks for like almost my whole life. And I've always wanted a saltwater tank. I just thought it was really expensive to do, and found out that it was actually kind of there are ways to make it sustainable and also make it cheap, or if not, you know, not as expensive as a huge saltwater tank would cost. I came across initially I wanted a box fish, but found out that they grow really big, and I cannot have a huge tank in my apartment complex. I think you're only allowed to have up to 10-gallon tank of any type. So that's why I have a 6 gallon. My goal is to jump from this one to a 12-gallon tank. Eventually, I just wanted to basically see what I was gonna how I did with the saltwater tank, and as far as maintenance and being able to keep up with the chemistry of the water, as well as feeding and taking care of the fish and stuff like that. Um, so looked through a lot of fish and wanted to see what I thought it was cool and what I was gonna be able to keep up with, and came across pufferfish. Somebody suggested, somebody who was also trying to get a box fish on a forum, that instead of getting a box fish, to get a puffer fish. A lot of them grow really big, up some of them up to 2 feet. Um, but there are also dwarf um, type of um, puffer fish, which is this one included, which is the Valentini puffer fish. They only grow up to 4 to 5 inches, I believe, and obviously that you can put them in smaller tanks. Um, so yeah, basically, I went ahead, did all the research for puffer fish and smaller puffer fish, and I didn't find a lot of stuff out there. That's why I wanted to make this video. A lot of them were just of basically people feeding their fish. It was like feeding time with the puffer fish, or just puffer fish puffing. And then some of them, I think like one video only had um, basically just basic information on what they eat, basically what you read at the website when you're trying to buy a fish online. It'll tell you kind of like where they live, where they come from, what you need to feed them, water temperatures, all that stuff. So well, all of that to me is really helpful, and it was really helpful, and it still is. I just didn't know what to expect with the behavior with this kind of fish, and what I found out was that while they they it varies basically. So I've seen a lot of fish on videos being really outgoing and eating out of the owner's hand, and also flirting with the camera and stuff like that. They can be really cute fish and really outgoing, but at first I just kind of freaked out a little bit because the when I first introduced him to the tank, he was just kind of staying in the back, specifically on the left side rock, like kind of behind that rock. He would just stay there, and I didn't know that that was natural. He was just kind of getting used to the environment. He didn't really want to come out because I was the whole time just watching him. So the reason why he didn't want to come out, it was because I was there the whole time trying to see and trying to monitor every single move that he was making. So I learned later on that once you step away, um, they'll come out and they'll try to explore, and they'll like pick on things, and basically they'll be themselves. So that was one thing I learned and that I didn't know um, before I got this fish. Also, that the way they sleep, they kind of anchor themselves to anything. The first night he slept on top of a rock. The second night he basically laid on the sand. I thought he was dead actually. I was like, oh my gosh, I killed this fish, and I freaked out. Didn't try to scare them or anything, but I tried to clean the tank. I was like, maybe I was overfeeding, which will go over on the feeding process right now. So I thought the fish had died because he was all over. He was on the floor just laying down, and I found out that now he was just relaxing basically, and having some fish beauty sleep basically. So that was another thing I didn't know about, that they just chill out and they'll anchor themselves to a rock, sometimes in weird positions, sometimes like, facing up, kind of like a bat kind of thing, on the side wall of a rock. They can lay on top of it. They can even lay on the sand. Actually, last night he slept just on the sand. It's whatever spot they can find where they feel comfortable with not enough current. I've also found out that they don't like a lot of current. They try to stay away from strong currents. I have my power head facing towards the back of. I played around a lot with the power head actually, since I set it up until after I got the fish, just to try to give it a little bit more um, uh, favorable conditions to the fish. And after finding out that he was kind of like sticking out to the places where there wasn't a lot of current, I basically faced the power head to pointing towards the back of the back glass, where the piping to the filter and one of the cords and the um, glass scraper, and I have also the water heater back there. So basically, what in my head, what I had in mind was that what the water flow was gonna do, it was gonna crash into those things, and he was gonna slow down. I pointed up to the little opening of the glass with the for those who own Fluval etches, they know that the top is mostly covered by glass, so you get that kind of look of just being a cube of water kind of thing, and it just has a little opening. So I pointed up to that opening, also at the same time pointing at the back of the glass where the tubing of all the basically whatever I have in the back is at, so that way it slows down the water a little bit. I still get more than enough flow, which is great for every other beetle life in the aquarium, which is just the right now just the fish and 6 hermit crabs. But yeah, that's one thing I learned. Also, I freaked out because the fish wasn't really eating at first. He's not. Um, I don't know how the other puffer fish are. I've seen some of them being really, not very really aggressive, but depending on the amount of actually on the type of fish that you have, type of puffer fish that you have, they'll be really aggressive or not. Um, this the boxfish and the what they call, I think, a long nose pufferfish type of pufferfish. I've seen on the videos that they're not really aggressive. They're just kind of cautious when you feed them. Some of them will eat out of people's hands, from what I've seen on videos. It's not a personal experience, but some of them won't even want to eat. With this one, I tried everything. They said that the this fish was eating brine shrimp before I got him, so that's what I bought. I went to the pet store. I happened to live really close by 2 pet stores, those major, the huge pet stores that everybody knows about, PetSmart and Petco. I have them within less than probably like 2 blocks. PetSmart is like 2 blocks away from my house. Petco is like 3.5 blocks away from my house, and then I'm really lucky to have also 2 fish stores close by. Um, they're all within a less than half a mile radius, literally. I'm really happy and lucky to have those things around me, because not only do they have everything that you need, it's also really close, and it's also really cheap. I live in California, Southern California, and the coast, and the whole Ventura area county. For those who are not familiar with that, it's basically on the beach. So I have really good stuff going on around here, and I'm very lucky to have those things. They have really cheap coral too. I'm gonna get into that. I just wanted to, you know, try it out with fish first and see if I can, uh, you know, basically have it thrive. Um, but yeah, at the feeding time, I bought um, I bought the brine shrimp, and I tried to feed it brine shrimp, but it wouldn't even look at it. It would just stay back, and not do anything. I basically turned off all the flow, the power head, turned it off, and also turned off the water filter, um, and it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't even chase for it or anything. So I was just kind of getting worried. I tried everything. I put shrimp in there. There's a clam in that I put, and he ate. He actually ate some of the clam. Um, and by the way, I only put the clam in there because it was a dead clam, obviously, that I bought um, from the store. But I only did that because I read in a forum that people were feeding that to their puffer fish because it's good for them. They bite on the shell, and then they basically to basically not let their little they have like a little like a pike, like a bird kind of thing, um, on their mouth, so it doesn't grow. It's kind of like nails kind of thing, and they need to wear out. So I guess that's what does it. They bite on the rock. I've also seen it bite on the coral, by the way, on the coral rocks, and that's what does the trick. And so yeah, he ate some of that clam. I did notice a couple pieces were gone. I just didn't see him eating. Um, and the only reason why I like to blame the pufferfish is because the cuts were like really sharp. The crabs would have not done that. They would have just ate um, big chunks of it. So I guess it wasn't the crabs. Um, but anyway, um, that's basically it. I also tried putting a piece of shrimp in there. He wouldn't bite the shrimp. The piece of shrimp was like probably like a quarter inch. What I've noticed is that they'll eat things that are really tiny. They won't go for it if it's really big, because say you put a say you put a whole shrimp in there that's half of the size of the body. They'll just get intimidated by it, and they won't go for it. They'll look at it, and they won't go for it. Um, so so yeah, basically that is what this fish does. Excuse me. So um, so what I've learned is that just to I try to put also, they also said squid, so I put a tiny little bit of squid. Um, I actually tied it up to a piece of fishing line, like a really thin fishing line. I don't know, string or something. So I tied it up and just left it hanging. The thing is that it didn't go for it. Took a little bite of it, but then it left it alone. Although I do believe that they do like shrimp. I mean, squid as well as shrimp actually. They just, at least this one, felt intimidated by the size of it, just because they might get confused with other fish, you know. So I don't know. I see him eating a lot of things from the bottom. Like, I don't know what he sees. Probably sees something and bites on it. I've also seen him take bites at the crabs a couple times. The first time I put it in the water, the first thing he did when he saw one of the hermit crabs is that he tried to bite the shell, and then he left it alone. And that's all the interaction I saw for that day and for that night. So, and then later on, I noticed that there was um, a little leg on the bottom, and it was a piece of leg from the crab. So I don't know if it was just the crabs fighting, and one of them lost his leg, or if it was the pufferfish biting on it and just kind of like knocking it off. But it's there. I've seen it since then. I've seen it like trying to bite on it a couple times, and he does get curious whenever he sees them. He just kind of stares at him, But I've only seen him take little bites, of them a couple times, and that's it. Another thing is that if you want to help them get feel at home faster and um, get used to your tank faster. What I did is that right now it's a winter, so it gets dark really quick. So I put the fish in. I went to the store actually when I bought it. I went to the store. I didn't buy it online, by the way. I went to the fish store that's close by my house. Actually, the two of them are close to my house, but I went to one of them and um, I got it at nighttime, which was like after 5:30, and I brought it in. Did everything that you're supposed to do of acclimating and all that stuff. So the instructions also, and the fish, the person at the fish store or anybody will tell you also that to turn off your lights. Um, so I only when I turned off my lights, it's when I saw the fish come out and actually try to explore. So that helps you to um, turn off the lights. Have minimum lighting. Definitely turn off the lights from the aquarium. I have a lamp next to my aquarium, right next to it. So I turned off the lights from the aquarium, the LED lights, and I also turned off the lights from my that's basically placed next to the fish tank, and that's when I saw him, when I saw the fish coming out and trying to explore and stuff. So um, also whenever I try to do something to the tank, like say I wanted to clean the pre-filter little sponge that's on there. Whenever I do anything, I try to do it when it's darker and turn off the light so that way the fish doesn't get as stressed because any sudden movement, if anybody comes into my room or anybody stares at it and he sees a lot of movement, then he right away starts to go in the back. So they're just kind of shy like that. But I've seen him getting used to me a little more. I can stand there and stare at him as long as I don't make a lot of sudden movements or don't put my hand close by the tank or anything. He's fine and he's out there swimming and going against the current and stuff, which I thought it was bad for him because he didn't want to come out, but turns out he likes swimming on the current. What else? Yeah, and I was actually happy when I saw him um, taking bites out of the rock and little particles of like either the clam or the shrimp that I put in. It was really easy to overfeed this fish because he's not a very aggressive eater. I bought the brine shrimp that comes in the blister packages, which are the ones that kind of come like packaged medicine. With, you don't know what they can have like foil on top and they're frozen. So basically, what happened is that if you don't know how to feed, like everybody that knows, they know how to work. You have to thaw it and then feed it to the fish. But it's really easy to overfeed this fish because it's not a very aggressive eater. So what I do is that I turn off all the flow and then dump it in there. And by the way, I only take a little pinch of the whole square. The whole square is good for like a huge amount of fish. I only take a little bit of the square, and that makes a lot of food. Obviously, thaw it and then put it in there. Where I turn off all the flow so it doesn't move a lot. What I see him doing is that he looks at a big piece and looks at it and looks at it and follows it around like stalking it, and you think he's gonna go for it, and then he just backs up and doesn't go for it. And then similar instances, I've seen him or I've seen it. I don't know if it's assuming it's a boy, whatever. Um, I've seen it literally swimming really fast from one side to the tank to the other just to get a little piece of food that he saw from the other side. So I think he just goes for the smaller pieces of food that are attractive to him. I don't know what pattern he's following, but the only thing I've noticed is that he'll go for things that are smaller or like he can fit in his mouth, which is really small. Um, what else? Um, I mean, those are the things. It's mostly like behavior about this fish that I was concerned about because I just didn't know what to expect. Especially when I see his videos of this fish going out and being so outgoing and grabbing food off the owner's hand and stuff like that. So I was kind of concerned at the beginning whenever my fish wasn't acting or behaving as they did on the videos. But just so you know, if you do get a fish, make sure obviously your water, it's everything is it's well, the water chemistry, the temperature, your flow, all that stuff. Do your research. It's not impossible to do, but you just have to know what you're doing. Um, so that's basically what I was concerned about. And feeding, one thing I would that I did suggest actually already is just try not to overfeed. It's really easy with this fish, and with the tank so small, you can, and with the fish, that is so peaceful and not as aggressive either. It's so easy to overfeed. So just keep an eye on that, and then also that they'll go for small shrimp and uh, crabs if you have any. So just be careful with that. I've seen him also get really close to the power head. He doesn't get sucked in by it, but he does panic as soon as he starts to feel like stronger pull. So that's one thing. So I don't know if I covered um, everything. I don't think I have because I've had this fish actually for excuse me, um, 5 days I believe or something like that, and I've just seen him make progress, throughout the days. The first 2 days he was just kind of, in a crappy mood and stuff, and it wasn't the water, it wasn't the temperature, it wasn't anything else. It was just him getting adapted to life in a new tank. So let me know if you have any more questions about it. I probably do updates on this one. I want to put another fish in there. I have a very good idea of what I want to do. I also want to do corals. I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. I just want to do what I was thinking about is to have a couple corals that are not very expensive, that are pretty, that are not maybe really I don't want to say exotic, but that are not really rare because the rarest ones are the ones that are the most expensive, and I don't want to spend a lot of money. I just want to get a couple corals that are easy to maintain and that'll expand, they'll flourish and cover most of the rock. Um, and I don't want a huge, amount of different ones. I just want like a few of them, if anything, for now. I know we all probably say that, I don't want everything and I don't want it to be too expensive and all that stuff. But then later on, as you get into the hobby, they'll probably, want to expand their collection of corals and, expand to a bigger tank and all that stuff. That's what I'm saying for now, and that's what I want to stick to for now in the near future. So if you have any suggestions, I've seen some corals at the fish store that I go to that are really cheap actually. Some of them are like $5, $10, 20, 30 the maximum. Um, and they seem cool to me. They seem pretty colorful and stuff, and I think they'll be a great addition to this tank. But I would like some suggestions from you guys and experiences that you've had. I also want to add another fish, and when I expand to my when I move on from this one to a 12-gallon tank. Um, by the way, I want to get, I think, a Mr. Aqua tank, which is it's kind of like this one, but it's just twice as big. Um, it's also long. It's not tall. So I think that's what I want to do, and that's how I want to stay for a while, for a big while. Um, if you have any suggestions on what coral I should get that are cheap, just keep that in mind. I don't want to spend more than $30 on a coral. That's gonna, I don't know. I just don't want to spend a lot of money on it. Not because I don't have to or I don't have the money or anything, just because I don't want to spend a lot of money on the hobby. Um, and I don't, and I think it's doable. I think you can do a lot with a little bit of money if you know how to do it. You can add a lot of color to it, and you can add some pretty cool fish without having to spend tons of money, $400 for a fish or something. I got this fish for $20, which is amazing. It's a pretty cool fish. I love to watch it, and it's it's not your typical, you know, clownfish that everybody has. You know, like when I have people look at it, they're like, "Oh, it's a puffer fish. It's not just a fish. It's a puffer fish." People get pretty impressed by it, which is kind of cool. So let me know what fish. I have an idea of what I want, but if you know of any cool fish that can fit on a smaller tank, excuse me, um, and that I can add with this one, and I will do good with some corals. Let me know. I do have two more of the kind of like the ultimate fish that I want, that I have in mind, that I think I'll be adding to this thing pretty soon. But let me know if you know of any cooler ones that are cool and not too expensive. Um, so yeah, basically, let me know, and then I'll keep on posting videos about the progress of this tank, as well as the fish, as well as the crab and anything in this tank. Alrighty. Well, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll be seeing you soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.